minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Happy Football Friday, everybody. It's your favorite talk show. I know that. You know how I know that? Because you're tuned in here on Game Plus or YouTube or some various podcast platform or 1700 Mission Radio. It's a Football Friday. We're heading into Labor Day weekend across the land. It's a very special show today. Jim Barker coming up in hour 2, 5-time Grey Cup champion, part-time resident of Las Vegas. And a yearly tradition, Mike Abou-Mechrek joins us as our co-host on a Football Friday going into Labor Day weekend. The 10-year CFLer, former Blue Bomber, Rough Rider, and Renegade Abou is back in Calgary. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back on the show, Reddy. Thanks for having
You
me.
make me smile. You make me smile. I got to hear. I don't want to hear this off the air. Tell me on the air. You were just like in Egypt riding camels. What were you doing, man? How was how was this holiday?
It was great. I was about 5.5 weeks in Lebanon. I took a vacation from Lebanon to go to Jordan, went to see Petra, went to the Dead Sea, went to the desert in Wadi Rum. That's why I look so good. I'm well rested. I got a beautiful tan, and
All right.
I'm ready to go. Got to get my
I
kid off
feel
to school this week, and then I'll be back in Saskatchewan.
okay. Well, I feel like there's more to the story. But we'll catch up on that another day. Let's get going, everybody, with a quick show topics here on this Football Friday heading into Labor Day weekend. Abou, nothing's changed here. Episode number 1566. We start with the big story. And before we get to the big CFL games this weekend, you know what it is. The Dallas Cowboys sent shockwaves through the NFL on Thursday in trading superstar edge rusher Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers following a lengthy contract dispute. The Cowboys got Pro Bowl D tackle Kenny Clark and 2 future first-round picks, and then the Packers signed him to the biggest deal in NFL history for a non-quarterback. We all know it, $188 million, 4-year deal. I guess, Abou, because you're in 18 different fantasy football leagues and all this, you're familiar with the personalities, you're familiar with the teams. What do you think of this deal?
Well, it sounds like I like the deal, but it sounds like the Dallas Cowboys are imploding. Once the crown jewel of the NFL, things wouldn't be said. And 10 years ago, you just wouldn't say. And now players are saying it. What do you say? The inmates are running the asylum. And but that being said, if I owned a football team, I would want to run it. Like you said, I'm in lots of fantasy football leagues. It's just fun. It's fun manipulating people's careers and minds and moving the chess pieces around and stuff. That's just fun. If you've got,
Yeah.
$100 billion to do it, you deserve it.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, here's the thing, folks. You see his jerseys on the wall, and I appreciate you doing that. Do you have them up every day, or did you just put them up for today's show?
Yeah, my head's big. It's not that big. Yeah, no, I just put them up for today.
Okay. Okay. Well, listen, we'll get to the CFL talk after this opening segment because this opening segment is only 7 minutes long. This is what everybody's talking about. I tuned in the Nebraska-Cincinnati game last night. This is what they're talking about at halftime on the panel. Micah Parsons to Green Bay. And I guess right out of the gate, I'll ask you and the viewers the answer to our poll question, what you would vote today for EMJ Marketing. Who wins the Super Bowl first? Jerry's Cowboys or Micah's Packers? Probably neither, but that's not an option. Who's going to win a Super Bowl first out of these two teams?
Let's go with the Packers. Like I said, I think the Packers are on the rise, and there's just a whole lot of stuff you can't say on the air going on in Dallas. Nobody wants to be there anymore. They've got a quarterback situation that they don't realize they have. The best player in the league arguably doesn't want to go there. I mean, Green Bay, the only bad thing that they have against them is it gets cold. So I think it's going to be easier to attract players to win a Super Bowl. And it's not always the best players. Mika Parsons great, but it's the glue guys. Maybe I'm biased with that, but it's the glue guys that are gonna win the Super Bowl, and those glue guys want to be in a good situation.
72% of respondents agree with you. They're saying Green Bay. I actually voted for Green Bay, and I'm a Cowboys fan. Now, if I recall, because it's been a while since we talked, but you don't have an NFL team, right? And that probably makes it very easy for you to make picks and do your fantasy leagues.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm in fantasy, because my team is whoever I have on my team. That's my team. Yeah.
You want to
And I
say
think the
who?
Packers won that trade huge. Sorry, I take that back. The Cowboys, they get 2 first-round draft picks. That's huge. They get a Pro Bowl defensive tackle, and they get 2 first-round draft picks. So, like I said, they're on their way down, but that's the only way to get back is by getting not only getting those draft picks, but making sure that those players are good team guys.
Stop the presses. We're on the same wavelength. Abou, that never happens. I was just going to ask, I know, what's going on? Worlds are colliding, Jerry. I was just going to ask you who won the trade. But there's this adage, I'm not sure I agree with it, and I hear it more in hockey, but that the team that gets the best player won the trade. And that would be Micah.
That's hockey, and hockey's not quite basketball, but you need 50 guys. You need 54 guys or whatever that number is. You need all those guys contributing. You need everybody contributing in football. It's not the same. One player can't make a difference. Well, one player can make the difference, but it's not like they got a bag of pucks, And that would suck because it's a football team. But anyways, we'll get into that in the second segment.
That's some good stuff.
It's not like they got a bag of balls, They got a Pro Bowl defensive tackle. I can't think of who else is on their roster right now inside, but that's definitely a need that they had. And you can get a
Let's
guy that
remember-
runs up and down the side and chases the quarterback all day long. You need those big boys up front,
Sure.
to stop the run and to get the run going.
Well, let's remember, we can't put any stock in anything Jerry Jones says. Okay, everybody, we can't. So Jerry was selling this trade, saying it had been in the works since the spring. It had been in the works since the spring, and that they do need help inside, but every team needs help inside. Anybody, better is better, as Bobby Vespasiani used to say. And Kenny Clark is a 3-time Pro Bowler. What got me is he's only missed 8 games in his entire career. So you're kind of selling me into this as a Cowboys fan that it's not necessarily the worst thing. But he's not a game flipper like Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a game changer, and that's why he's being paid $44 million a year.
I'm trying to get this through to my son right now. He's about to turn 16, and you know what? You know what the best ability is, Rod?
Availability.
Availability.
Hang on. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. We are just scratching the surface. We'll be back in a second here on Game Plus Television. There you go. YouTube, podcast, and Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Welcome back to a Football Friday, your favorite daytime sports talk show on the air, everybody. And by the way, join us at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina for our NFL kickoff party Thursday, September the 4th, of the Cowboys at the Eagles. And you don't need details on how to join us. It's come on down, first come, first serve. I know those boys that run that place. They're from Weyburn. They just come on down. First come, first serve. We'll have prizes there from Ultimate Fan Zone, Cowboys and Eagles merchandise, Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Abou, I got a wedge in a Blue Jays note here because it's a huge game tonight. The Blue Jays are in action, playing host to the MLB best Milwaukee Brewers tonight. Toronto coming off a series win over Minnesota. Shane Bieber starts tonight. You are a Toronto boy. You and I are the same age. Are you getting fired up about the Bluebirds?
Yeah, they don't have much coverage of the Blue Jays in Lebanon, but I thought they were the best team in the league. What the heck's going on? I leave for 6 weeks and everything goes down the drain?
National League. The Brewers have the best record. NL or American League. Blue Jays have tops in the AL, Brewers tops overall. I know you've taken a few hits to the head, Abou, but you haven't taken that many. Okay. To the Labor Day Classic weekend in the Canadian Football League, and we'll get to college and Canadian University and everything else a little later on. How many Labor Day Classics did you play in? Do you know right off the top of your head?
9.
Okay. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Well, six with these guys. Well, 7.
6?
I was injured for one of them, if you count that one.
I should have prepped you for this.
No, it's way better when I just come in raw.
Okay, 10-year CFL veteran and Grey Cup champion Mike Abou-Mechrek is on the air with us. I will remind you, he's won more Grey Cups than Muhammad Ali did. Well, I was on the air in Global Winnipeg.
And Vanier Cups.
Right, and Vanier Cup winner too, right, with London Western. They said to me on Global Winnipeg yesterday, when you think Riders-Bombers rivalry, what do you think? I'll put that to you. What do you think when you think of this rivalry?
Roddy, we've been doing this almost 2 decades together, and you know my answer. But, it's been a while since I've been on here, so I'll tell you it again. It has to do with a little girl and the middle finger. It was my first one, 2000. Playing for Winnipeg. We're coming to Regina. The night before, it was wild. People honking outside our hotel room, co-eds banging in our door, trying to get into our room to keep us up late at night. And, I was 25, 26 years old. So thank God for Brett McNeil, the veteran presence, kept that door locked. But we couldn't. The fire alarm went off twice. The police were helping everyone else by putting the sirens on, like, stay away from the hotel. These guys are trying to sleep. It was wild, something I'd never been part of before and something I'll never be part of again. But the next day I got to the stadium earlier, and I usually get there 5 hours early or something like that. So there was nobody there. My first experience with the beautifully insane Saskatchewan Roughrider fan base is me coming across the field as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, running across to the, let's say, the east side or whatever side that was. Yeah, I think it was the east side. I'm just jaunting along, looking at the fans, and I'm a professional wrestling fan. The fans were going nuts. And for me, a boo is just like a boo, get it? It's just like a cheer. So I was drinking it in, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And in the front row, there's this little girl dressed in a homemade cheerleader, Saskatchewan Roughrider cheerleader jersey, with the biggest smile on her face, cheering with her dad.
Pigtails, right?
Pigtails, about 6, 7, 8 years old, just so awesome. Big smile on my face. I love it. I look over to her and I give a little wave, and she gives me a different finger, not this one. Yes. And she said something that you can't say on air, and my face went to disbelief that this little cute princess girl knew which finger to put up, and that kind of set the tone. But what made it even worse is she looked up at her dad, and her dad looked down at her, and the pride on his face that his little girl gave the finger to the disgusting Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's something that you'll never forget. The birth of my kids and that experience is something that I'll never forget. And it really embodies the friendly, mostly rivalry between the provincial rivals.
You know what's really scary is she's probably like in her 30s now. Think about that. Probably still giving the Bombers the finger. Oh, yeah. You want to look her up? Oh, my God. Okay, this is somewhat of an aside, but not an aside. I was talking about my favorite. You said that was 2000. Mine was 99, was my first ever Labor Day Classic, calling it on radio, and G. Roy Simon was a Blue Bomber. Not many people remember that. And I was like, who was finding talent? You'd be the guy to ask. Who was finding talent for the Bombers back then? Because you guys had
Brendan
some
Salmon,
studs.
G-Roy and I came in together. He used to drive me to practice. If he didn't drive me to practice, I had to take the city bus to practice. That was the game that I missed in '99, but I was there. And it was Brendan Salmon, BT, one of the greatest GMs the CFL has ever or will ever see.
Oh, my. Well, I'll tell you, I texted him the other day because our dear friend Craig Smith passed, as you know, and you know Smitty. And I just said, hey, Beef, aside from his wife, Smitty loved you more than any other person on earth. So condolences. And I think BT's having a tough time with that.
And what a great wife. Every wife should be as great as every person.
As Kathy. Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. Carlos in Indianapolis says, I hope that little girl's listening. LOL. She probably is. She's clearly a big Rider fan. Now, here's the thing.
I was on Global. Still got that cheerleader outfit.
Yeah. Could you squeeze into that?
306-591.
Yeah. Talking about the game. We should talk about the actual game. You said you were in Lebanon. You were gone for 5 weeks. I don't know how much you've been how much have you been following leading up to, like, do you have a take on what might go down in this game? Because the Bombers have won 3 of the last 4, including last year. Last year.
That's nuts. Like that sounds like a typo, because it was unheard of for Winnipeg to come in and win in Regina. Like, it was unheard of. So that's a stat that I think maybe you dropped on me earlier in the week, and I that just does not compute. Actually, in Lebanon, the 1 o'clock game, it's a 9-hour time difference. So I got to catch the 1 o'clock games. And one morning I just got out from being with my cousins, and I got to watch the last 3 minutes of a game. So I've been doing my best to kind of stay abreast of everything. But you know me, I never think I know enough when I come on your show.
Which is fine.
If you want me to break, it's gonna come down to the run game. I mean, you got the best against the best. You know, the immovable force against the impregnable object. That's what it's gonna come up for. I mean, everyone talks about the running back Brady Oliveira, but Saskatchewan's own Patty Neufeld. You know, he's gonna be, if the Bombers can pull it off, he's got to have a big game. He's gonna be the player of the game. Him and Gabe Wallace, and hang on a second, Chris Kolakowski. I want to make sure I get my big hoggies names right. Those guys are going to. Those guys will have to do what they got to do. And on the other side, of course, Mika Johnson. I don't need to tell you who he is. I don't need to check my notes to know who he is. He's going to be there. He will be there. He'll be on the front page of the paper. He'll be making the most tackles. If he's not making the most tackles, Jameer Thurman will be. Jameer? Yeah. He'll be the guy that has to be all over the field. Making tackles up the middle, plugging the run. Oliveira had some catches, and he's a good receiver too. But if he's plug up the run game, which is, like I said, the forte of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Mace's, I was going to say Mace's defense, but his entire team. I think that's the biggest difference that I see with the Riders this year. and last year is just that, just what I've been talking about, toughness. It's something about having a lineman as your head coach. They might be boring. It might be, methodical, but damn it, they win, and they got that team there. People care about each other. Are there big names? Yeah, sure, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Winnipeg's got your quarterback, got your running back. Saskatchewan's a team. One guy goes down, next guy up. Adju, where's he going to play? We're going to even can we even fit him into the roster? They got, and of course, a testament to my boy Jo. Finding these guys. He's been finding these guys, but the glue that, no disrespect to anyone that came before them, but something about having a lineman, someone that gets the CFL, that knows how hard it is in the trenches, that knows it's been there, that the guys can feed off of it, is going a long way.
You came ready to rock today. I appreciate that. You've had a few days to get prepared. Johnny in Winnipeg writes in.
Lebanese coffee.
Yeah, Johnny in Winnipeg. Yeah, you're still on Lebanese time. Johnny writes in and says, "Get to the picks." Well, we did them the other day, but we can do them again just for fun. There's only 3 games. So who wins the Labor Day Classic, Abou? I'll say Riders, but I don't.
Johnny could be right. It comes down to the picks, right? If strength against strength is the Winnipeg run game against the Saskatchewan defense, that means they're gonna have to throw the ball. Johnny makes a good point. Whoever throws a pick, that could be the game changer. It's going to be close. It's always close. And don't think that Winnipeg doesn't look at the standings and be like, if they sweep these 2 games, they're on top.
So you have done some prep, but you haven't made a pick. I've said Riders. Why won't you make a pick?
It was 33 hours of travel time. You don't think I was on my phone? Yeah, Riders.
Okay.
It's tough to come in and win. It's tough to come in and deal with these girls.
Well, yeah, it's a hostile environment.
Right. I mean, the fans.
Yeah. It's a hostile environment. Wayne Werbavetsky writes in. Wayne Werbavetsky. That sounds like a Winnipeg name if there ever was one. He says the Labor Day Classic is a highlight, but the Bomber Riders show will be a 3-game contest. That's what he says. Quickly, before we break, we've both got the Riders to win this game. Toronto at Hamilton and then Edmonton at Calgary. Like, we got some real doozies. I feel like this is the best, evenest matchups in teams in years. And I got Hamilton to win. Now, I took Toronto at Edmonton. I took the road teams. I'll stay with that. But how about you?
I gotta take Hamilton. They're playing. I believe they're playing at a top level. I did catch a half of their game when I was in Lebanon too, and they just look like they're a well-oiled machine. I missed the last game and a half, 2 games, so they just seem more in tune to what's going on. And I didn't really like what I see from Toronto as usual. Maybe I'm biased, but man, this Battle of Alberta. We say it's a friendly rival in the prairies. These cities hate each other. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a friendly rival. They freaking hate each other. Like, don't talk to me about pizza in Saskatchewan, and don't talk about the rivalry between anything. The rivalry between people, the rivalry between who's got the better cars, the better roads, the better air, the better view. They absolutely hate each other. And
I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It's a little over the top for me. Hang on. We got a break. Arlen Bruce has checked in. Great morning, RP and Abou. Abou is very knowledgeable when it comes to football for sure. That's from AB. He's got more comments. I'll get to those when we come back. All the greats are tuned in today. We'll be right back on a Football Friday. We're live across Canada and 32 U.S. states here on Game Plus TV.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
It would take 2 hours to get through all the comments that have come in from the viewers. I'll get to those later on the Western Dodge text line, other than to say, Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, "Hey, Rod, the Battle of 1873 resumes Monday in the Hammer. Buckle up." He's talking about, of course, Battle of Ontario. Noni in Calgary writes in, she says, "It's so awesome to see Abou on your show. He's great." Like he needed that. She says, "Happy football." She says, "The most exciting weekend of the season besides Grey Cup. I'm off to Regina and the sold-out stadium." That's from Noni in Calgary. Can I pause this for a sec? Have you had Sports Center on TSN? Have you seen Mitch Marner's comments about Leaf fans in the last 24 hours by chance?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, I will stick to Football Friday then. Because you're one of the biggest Leaf fans that I know, he said that he had to get, if I have this right, 24-hour security for his family after the Leafs lost Game 7 to the Panthers in the playoffs, and that he's excited to go to Vegas for a fresh start. Do you have thoughts on Marner leaving for Vegas, or would you rather not touch it?
I can't blame him. That organization is killing me. You know why I wear this number, right?
Yes.
It's the last time the Leafs won the Cup. All I wanted to ever do was change that number. And they didn't. And $1,800 to sit on the back row of Game 7 of the playoff game. Now it's the final straw. Me and my boy went to go watch them win and they decided to lose. And I'd rather have that $1,800 back, but not even a good memory to share with my kid. Shows how
Overpricing
much of a
and not
sucker these
winning.
guys
Yeah,
are. Yeah.
overpricing and not winning, not a great combination. Okay, Janice writes in. She's a Stampeders fan living in Edmonton, and she writes in and she says, my husband and I have ground rules for Labor Day. My Elkamo-loving husband and I bring your best heckles, banters, and smart comebacks. And at the end, we raise a beer and toast the CFL. And my team wins. That's Janice, a Stamps fan who's married to an Elks fan. Can we go back to that for a second? I was really digging what you were saying about the Battle of Alberta. You are living in Calgary. I was there for a lot of time. And the rivalry it's a lot. There's not another rivalry that I've seen on this continent like Calgary-Edmonton. In any sport, cities,
it's hate.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's hate. And that last comment, it's fake news. The only thing they're raising is a knife to stab the other person in the face, not even the back. It's a hatred. It's a hatred. I had a friend that from Edmonton that drove 45 minutes to another hospital so that her kids wouldn't be born in Calgary. Like, it's insane. Like, I'm not allowed to say about her, but
when I first got there,
wow.
I kind of admired it. But before long, I was like, this isn't healthy. This is not good. You're all Albertans, and it's a wonderful province, as you know. But from a sports aspect, if they're going to fill up McMahon Stadium on Monday, I'm all for it. Do you think there's any chance of my guy, mine Cody, going in there and upsetting the Stampeders?
You know what? I think your quote a couple weeks ago, all he does is win. So why the heck not? And the Stamps have been kind of up and down, up and down. They looked great against the Riders 2 times, but they've looked rather plain in the games that I've seen. And not to take anything away from the Toronto football fans, but can I say it? Yeah, the Stamps fans could take a page out of either one of these teams, and their fan base could be a little bit more supportive. In my opinion.
What Jeff, the Stamps fan,
it was great to see Christmas last weekend in the stands. The green and red.
You were there, weren't you? You were there.
Oh yeah. You know what it was only my first CFL game of the season, which I don't know if that's ever happened before. Going back to high school, going back to elementary school. I've been to half dozen games a year, and so it's kind of weird this year just to be disconnected, going to Lebanon, having kids going to university, having kids traveling across country, having a dad that's been sick, having everything. So I feel like Labor Day, like the teams, this is when my season begins. It's going to be hard for me to miss another game going forward. And now as the real season begins.
It's kind of amazing that you say that because you're getting on board with it. I mean, when you were in the CFL playing in it, you understand how that doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean the real season doesn't kick off till Labor Day? What do you think we've been doing for the last 9 games plus training camp? Yet, people do have lives. That's the one thing we need. What you're saying, Abou, is life has happened for you.
Well, yeah, life is happening, and I love my life, but I kind of looking for a little bit of boring now and then. But no, even when I was in that, when everybody in the league makes the remember, Roddy, I played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the best team up until a few years ago that I've ever played in the CFL. Most consecutive games, went through the Grey Cup, and we lost the Grey Cup to a team that was 2-10 at one point in the league, and they just got hot and beat us. While there was turnovers, there was this. Westwood missed 17 kicks on the game. Stoddard dropped the ball. I gave up a sack. Like, there's so many things, but they come back. So that's the CFL. That is why we don't turn the CFL off when there's 3 minutes left and the team's up 21 points. We watch it right to the end. We watch it right to the season, because all it takes is a team to get hot. So yeah, they're 8-2, but I mentioned if the Bombers win these 2 games, they're back on top. And then what happens?
With the season series, yeah, with the clinched, Riders have already lost the season series to Calgary, so things are going to get very interesting in the next couple of months, as they always do. And by the way, I was reading the game notes. Over half the games this year have gone down to the last 3 minutes of the whole league. I think it's 54%, but over half of the games have gone down. You said you haven't watched a lot of CFL football. You've watched enough. You've only been to one. This feels like the best year of CFL football ever. Like wildness and entertaining and close games and comebacks and everything.
And I think Rider fans would agree, but because
they're winning,
because
of
they're
course.
on top. CFL's always been great. You know, I was just looking at the standings during the break, and it's the typical CFL season. You know, all the records in the West are really, really good. All the records in the East are not that good. But it all evens out, even out towards the end. And yeah, I don't understand that. If all the best teams are in the West, how does Toronto win every 3 years? Like, what's wrong with those guys? Nobody even cares.
I think it's every second year. Oh my God. Daniel in BC writes in, he says, we here in BC have to beat Ottawa in both games. Taylor in Calgary writes in, he says, up and down, that's funny. Buddy hasn't been watching Stampeders football this year. Well, when Vernon Adams is hurt, you don't win. I'll stick up for a boo on that one. Ryan in upstate New York
that I
says,
haven't been watching.
Right, right. He admitted it. Ryan in upstate New York says the next 9 weeks are going to be very, very exciting in the CFL. Between the CFL, NCAA, and NFL, I'll be feasting on football for a while. That's the thing. Once the calendar turns, fall is for football, and that's kind of where we're at. And do you have any other Labor Day memories? No, not just that. You know how I used to bug you about having an office in Moose Jaw? Remember how I used to bug you about that? I'm like, having an office in Moose Jaw? I'm like, what do you got an office in Moose Jaw for? I get it, man. I've spent the last 2. I get it now. I get it.
I have 3 offices. That's where my clients are. I got office here. I got office there. I got office in Regina. That's what business people do.
Peter Zosky said this. Peter Zosky said this is the most Canadian of all cities. It's beautiful. It's chill. There's money. What's not to love about Moose Jaw?
They might come and ruin it.
That's the thing. People are like,
hangs out up there.
Yeah, people are like, stay out.
The only bad thing I have about saying is that how are all the crackheads in Saskatchewan at that Tim Hortons on Main Street? All of them. There's only 25,000 people in Moose Jaw, 1,000 other crackheads around that corner. But anyways, I digress.
I stay away from that particular Tim Hortons. Trust me, I do. Yeah, but you guys came and stayed. Were you with the Bombers when you guys stayed in Moose Jaw Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, and that's why I was telling that story about when we stayed right in Regina, and the police were running their sirens all night. That's why the following years after that, we went to the Moose Jaw, or they went to the Moose Jaw Spa. I went to Ottawa. And if I've got a second, I really wish the CFL would do something about the Ottawa, BC, Montreal Labor Day. Those fans deserve some sort of hatred that weekend. They hate someone. And I really wish they would build something up like that.
You shouldn't have to feel.
Montreal. I thought that was going to get going, but it never really took off.
You shouldn't have to feel left out as a CFL fan on Labor Day weekend, yet 3 fan bases do. Abou, this has gone far too long, but you've been fantastic, and we will see you next time. Thanks for the time.
2 weeks. See you.
Football Friday continues.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Football Friday continues Canada-wide here on Game Plus Television in 32 U.S. states. September 29th, going live to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in Las Vegas, part of Fox 5 Las Vegas. We're excited about that. There will be a few changes moving forward, but just small ones. You might not even notice. And if you think it was fun with Abou, which it was, it's going to get real fun over the next 40 minutes. And then even funner than that as Jim Barker joins us from the CFL on TSN, five-time Grey Cup champion. But first, a sports update for Coolbet Canada. The Toronto Blue Jays entertain the Major League leading Milwaukee Brewers tonight. The Jays are coming off a series win over Minnesota and sit 3.5 games up on Boston in the AL East. Shane Bieber starts for Toronto against Milwaukee's Freddie Peralta. How about this? Former Raptors president Masai Ujiri has been named a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal Advocate. Ujiri was fired by the Raptors in June after more than a decade leading the team, including its 2019 championship. In his new role, he'll promote issues such as youth empowerment, equality, and community development. Here's a guy who's not living in a vacuum, which, stay tuned, I have a parallel on that in a second. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones insists Dallas remains in win-now mode despite trading star pass rusher Micah Parsons to Green Bay. The deal brought back 2 first-round picks and veteran tackle Kenny Clark, whose play dipped last season. Jera says those picks could still be used to add immediate help with run defense, the top priority. The sports updates are for Coolbet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. You're going to be betting on football this fall, so why not do it with Coolbet? And again, deposit $10 when you sign up, $20, $100, up to $200. Welcome bet bonus matched by our friends at Coolbet Canada, but you have to use the promo code RP200. Now, you heard me talk about the Dallas Cowboys trading Micah Parsons to Green Bay. It's the biggest thing not only in football, it's the biggest thing in sports. This Andrew Ray, our poll question today is who wins a Super Bowl first? Micah Parsons, Green Bay Packers, or Jared Jones, Dallas Cowboys? Now, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I voted for the Packers. and we touched on this right off the top of the show with Abou. Viewer Andrew Ray writes, and he goes, why is your poll on the NFL on Labor Day weekend? Because that's what we decided, Andrew, because there's bigger things in the world than the Canadian Football League. So please open your eyes a little bit. Went to Dairy Queen last night. That would be like, why don't you have Score Blizzard on your menu? Because we don't. So deal with it, or there's the door. God, it's the biggest thing in football. And that's the poll question, because that's what we decided. Wayne in BC writes in, he says, Abou is great as usual. Hey, Rod, please try to have Abou on more during the CFL season. We'll do what we can for you. It's like we're running a sports talk jukebox here right now. Pop in a quarter and we'll play whatever tunes you want. Reese's is the best, producer Corey. Reese's is my favorite flavor of anything in the world. But when it comes to Blizzards, yeah. You get the point. I was just saying this to Joe last night at Dairy. Can you imagine walking into McDonald's? You know, you really should have the pizza on the menu in McRib. You should. I'll tell you what you should do. God, people. I'm ready for the weekend. I'm tired of people. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. Don't just shop anywhere. Shop smart at Western Dodge, proudly serving Moose Jaw and beyond. Now, speaking of, while we're here, Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, hi, Reverend Rod. Will Moose Jaw Main Street Tim Hortons be a future RP show sponsor? It's not the Tim Hortons' fault that that's where the local crackheads congregate. No. They got to go somewhere, I guess. Every town has them. This is where they go here. You know, it's funny. You know, Kirk, we were talking about rivalries here. The Calgary-Edmonton rivalry. Abou is living in Calgary. I've spent so much time in Calgary and went to college there and so forth. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line, you want to see hate, Rod? Go to the Hammer on Labor Day. You'll see hate. Well, number one, I don't want to see it. Not at all. Number two, that Calgary-Edmonton, like, I feel like the Toronto-Hamilton thing, I've never lived there. But does that not only extend to the game days with the football team? Like, I learned this fast in Alberta. They get up every morning and think of new ways to hate their rivals to the north or to the south. I've never seen anything like it. And like I say, I admired it for a while, or maybe not admired it. I respected it. I'm like, oh my God, how could you hate somebody or somebody that much? Something or somebody. But hate, it takes too much out of you. As you've seen, if you've watched this show for any amount of time, I don't have the hate. So I'm not going to go to Tim Hortons Field or whatever they're calling it now to go see hate. I'm not interested in seeing it. I understand there's a place for it sports-wise. I just don't really want any part of it. Rob writes in, Rob in the Queen City. Hey, Rod, happy Football Friday. What a great weekend it should be. Canadian University, American College, and CFL. Can't wait. I finished watching the Netflix doc on the Cowboys this week, and I have to say that I've always had a dislike for Jerry Jones, but kind of softened my stance on him at the end of it. Now the Parsons saga has me disliking him all over again. Have a good weekend. See, this is part of what I've reasoned and spent way too much time thinking about this. And it's, as I've learned through the people that I pay money to help me get through things. Rod, you're not the only one that's worked for a narcissistic owner or president. You're not the only one. Look at Jerry Jones. He had you convinced watching the 8-episode series on the America's team that he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Man, you wouldn't want to know how much I'd write a check for to win another Super Bowl. And then meanwhile, treat your people like crap. That's why Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer today. So I'm not buying it. And I'm not real worried about who's watching in Texas or if the Cowboys see it, because I'm pretty sure I won't be working for the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, I wasn't fooled by watching the documentary because I've worked for people like that. Everything's great until you question one little thing or stand up for yourself, and it's whack right between the eyes. Nope. It had me questioning my fandom of the Dallas Cowboys, but it's like, I'll just keep cheering for them, but I'm not going to allow my emotions to be dictated by a football team. How about that? Laverne and Swift Current writes in, he says, is it 11-11 yet? It looks like we all need to take a deep breath. How come your polls about the NFL on Labor Day? Because that's what we decided. So, Mark in Burlington, Ontario writes in, he says, hey, Rod, Cody will have the Elks pumped and will lead by example. He will be slinging the ball. My game of the week. That was, and I can't remember whose because we have a rotating stable of co-hosts. Was it Scruffy? No, it was Joe. It was Joe, 747 got us. His game of the week was Calgary-Edmonton, the second game of the Monday doubleheader in the CFL on Monday. Should be a hell of a game. And I've had a lot of time on my hands sitting here reading the game notes. Calgary Stampeders are 5-0 within the West Division. Nobody in the West has beaten the Calgary Stampeders. Every single stat favors the Calgary Stampeders going into this game. So naturally, Edmonton will win, right? That's why I don't profess to be any betting expert, and I don't bet myself. I hate spending money, and even more than that, I hate giving away money. So I don't bet. I just remember the CFL East final a few years ago, right? 2023, there was no way the Argonauts were going to lose to Montreal. All the numbers told you everything favored the Argos, and who goes in and wins? Cody Fajardo won the Montreal Alouettes because he's got God on his side. Now, I know pinball does too, but maybe God flipped a coin that day. I'm not sure. Andrew Ray, that same guy, writes in. He says, hey, bud, what happened to the customer is always right? That's wrong. That's a misnomer. Wouldn't you agree, producer Corey? The customer is not always right, especially when they're wrong. So, I'm not going to say that on the air, Corey, but I agree with you. Ken in Mississauga writes, and he says, I think Luke Wilson criticizing CFL his family posts and pictures on Twitter and his Argonauts attendance post was kind of mean. I'm, as of Labor Day weekend, over the whole Luke Wilson CFL stuff. I don't understand it. Any of us that have criticized the CFL have paid for it with a pound of flesh. And you don't really see me criticizing the CFL. Everybody wants to bitch about Ottawa and Montreal not playing this weekend. As my counselor ran, let it go. It's probably the best way to go. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, I heard Dustin Nielsen's morning YouTube podcast starts on FM radio in Edmonton next week. RP is the OG. Copycats are everywhere. Thank you, BW. Appreciate that. Janice, the Stamps fan, says, Rod, your show, your decisions. You pay the bills. You get to do what you want. All I ask is you keep educating us. Oh, I'm certainly trying to do that. Hour 2 coming up right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. The spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso. Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste. Savor. Share. Famoso. The spirit of Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of a Football Friday. I will tell you, it is going fast here on Game Plus Television today. We got coming up in the next segment, Jim Barker, five-time Grey Cup champion. He knows a thing or two about Labor Day Classic weekends and big games. And I'll tell you what we're going to do here right now. Go through the quick six show topics. Again, re-up with everybody. What we've been talking about today, if you've just joined us here on Game Plus, YouTube Live, podcast, or 1700 AM Mission Radio. Mike Abou-Mechrek was with us last hour. It's been a while since he's been on. You know, things change, people's lives evolve and grow, and he just spent 5 weeks in Lebanon, the 10-year CFL veteran. But he wasn't going to miss a Friday, a Football Friday of Labor Day weekend. And as he said, oh my God, he's like, RP, we've been doing this almost 20 years. On the broadcast side alone, let alone being in the trenches, him literally, of these Labor Day Classics. He said he played in 9, was at 10 of them. One of them he was hurt. But unbelievable. So, but number one, we opened with the National Football League because, as we have to unfortunately remind some people, it is the biggest football league in the world. The Dallas Cowboys sent shockwaves through the NFL on Thursday in trading superstar edge rusher Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers following a lengthy contract dispute. The Cowboys got Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 future first-round picks from the Packers, and then Green Bay made Micah the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. 4 years, $188 million, $136 million of that guaranteed. We spent the whole opening segment of the show on that with Abou. There's a lot of ways to look at this. Who won the trade? You can't say that less than 24 hours after the trade was made. I voted for Green Bay because there's the adage that but again, it's a hockey term, and Abou reminded me of that. Hockey ain't football. They say whoever gets the best player won the trade. Is that the case here? I'm not as familiar with Kenny Clark, and you all know that I'm a Cowboys fan. I like the fact he's only missed 8 games over his entire career. I like that. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, but he's not a game changer like Micah Parsons, so I'm not totally sure. We'll get into that with Jim Barker next segment. Plus the 2 first-round draft picks, and this is where I get upset at Jarrah, saying, well, you never know what we're going to do with those picks. Now, we could do something now with those picks, or those could be future Pro Bowl. That's the danger with picks. We don't know that they're going to be Pro Bowl selections. We know what Micah Parsons is, and because he had the gall to stand up to Jerry, you got to go. It's kind of what it boils down to. By the way, join us at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina for our NFL kickoff party next Thursday. Cowboys at Eagles, first come, first serve. We're not going to do any cover charge or special tickets to get in. First come, first charge. Our first come, first serve. RP Show people will be there. Sponsors will be there. It's going to be big fun. Cowboys, Eagles next Thursday. Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. And by the way, the poll question today for EMJ Marketing is, who will win a Super Bowl first, Jerry's Cowboys or Micah's Packers? And that one, I voted on the Packers for that. But that might be my emotion coming out. I'm not sure. I don't think the Cowboys are winning a Super Bowl in Jerry's time. And Abou said it an hour ago. He goes, I feel like the roof is caving in on the Dallas Cowboys. And it's nice to hear from somebody outside the blue cloud, because I'm so in it as a fan that I don't see it for what it is. Moving on, big baseball game in Toronto tonight. The Blue Jays are in action, hosting the MLB best Milwaukee Brewers. Toronto coming off a series win over Minnesota. They lead the AL East by 3.5 over Boston. Shane Bieber gets the start for the Jays, his home debut. Freddie Peralta will be on the mound for the Brewers. So for the baseball fans, they're not tuned in today on a Football Friday, but we'll have that one on. But that actually rolls well into point 3, and that is CFL Week 13 for me. I will be at Aspen Links Clubhouse and Rec Room tonight hosting the draft for our 3rd annual Labor Day Classic, Golf Classic, Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. I'll be the commissioner of the draft. So for all the teams that entered to play golf with a Rough Riders or Blue Bombers alumni, we're going to draft tonight the teams. It's always big fun. And that's the one thing that you don't realize until you get out, how special certain things are. And that for me and us, it's this Labor Day Classic weekend, the 61st Labor Day Classic weekend, because I'm pretty sure they're not having a golf tournament in Hamilton or Toronto for that Battle of Ontario. And I'm pretty sure they're not having a golf tournament in Calgary for their Battle of Alberta Labor Day Classic. But we are here. And that's special stuff. To be honest, from a football perspective, and Jim Barker, if he's watching, and our U.S. peeps watching will agree, that's an American thing. That's having events around the big games. 20, 30 years ago, we used to have the luncheons and stuff, and that's why I like those bowl games in South Florida where I live for 9 months out of the year. The police escorts coming into this. They never do anything like that in Canada, but the Labor Day weekend is very special. So we talked about the games at length, and Abou had it found it very hard to believe that Winnipeg's won 3 of the last 4. I would have lost a bet on that. I was reading the game notes. Winnipeg won last year, 35-33. They've won 3 of the last 4. There's no slam dunk here that this thing is in the bag for Saskatchewan. They're favored by 6. They got a kicker who's struggling, and as we've realized, his mind might be on other things. His family just welcomed a baby yesterday. And is that affecting his play? I don't know whether it is, don't know whether it isn't. I wonder if again, it's just how different. We're all where we're supposed to be. Because I came up in the business of, like these reporters now, they're all tripping all over each other, reporting Brett Lowther, what he had for breakfast and when he went to the bathroom and blah, 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 blah. And he left practice yesterday carrying his helmet and his pads. Oh, my God, must be horrible. Wife's having a baby. So, don't. You want to get to the bottom of it, yet the team doesn't want you to know. That's the rub. Welcome to the sports media in 2025. And I'm really going back and forth on these actual games to make the picks at rodpeterson.com. For Pump Jacks Cathedral, I just went with the picks from Canadian Press. They chose the Riders to win, Hamilton to win, and Calgary to win. That's all the home teams. That's what the odds makers are saying. I wouldn't necessarily disagree, but I really want Cody to go in and win on Monday. And Abou was quoting me saying, well, you said all Cody does is win. I didn't say that. I said death, taxes, and Cody Fajardo winning. That's what we can count on in life. The only guarantees. There's something else I wanted to talk about here that I didn't get to with Abou. I actually tried, but Canada's Olympic men's hockey coach, John Cooper, compares his job to fine-tuning a Ferrari. The 23 players from Canada's Four Nations roster, plus 19 more, were summoned to Calgary for an Olympic 3-day orientation camp that concluded Thursday. John Cooper joked that Canada's top players wanting to impress him and be named to the Olympic squad could make life difficult for his own NHL club, the Tampa Bay Lightning. But the Lightning generally get other teams' best every night, but I get what Coop's saying. And then the day before, like on Wednesday, all the talk coming out of that camp was Connor McDavid and what he's going to do with his next contract. And then all the talk coming out of Thursday was Mitch Marner, which, frankly, there's that Vegas component again. We keep lining up with Las Vegas. It's amazing. As September 29th, we'll be going live. Well, not live. Live daily. Live to tape daily. Whatever they call it these days. 6 p.m. Pacific. Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Fox 5 Las Vegas. Mitch Marner, who's on Team Canada, spoke of his exit from Leafland and how his family needed 24-hour security to be protected from Leafs fans after Game 7 against Florida in round 2. And you wonder why the guy... And his quote was, he goes, I just needed a fresh start. So he's going to Vegas for $12 million a year. I'm no math major, but I think that works out to $1 million a month. In a state that has no income tax. How about that? I'm just happy for the kid, Mitch Marner. He seems like a nice kid. Came up in the Toronto area, played in the CHL, 9 years with the Leafs, and leaves on good terms, or at least he's trying to. So I brought that up with Abou an hour ago because here's the difference between a fan and a pundit. He's a huge Leafs fan. Abou grew up a 5-minute bike ride from Rogers Centre, from Skydome. He's as downtown Toronto as you get, Mike Abou-Mechrek. 10-year CFLer was with us last hour, and I said, what do you think about this? And he was like, I'm just mad at the Leafs. I went to Game 7 with my kids, spent $1,800 for tickets, and they lost. So, other than that, no thoughts. He's not a hockey guy or a hockey pundit. That's the difference between a fan and a pundit, and that's the difference between throwing anybody on the air behind a microphone versus somebody who forms an informed opinion. That's the difference. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And then the other thing, it was a lot of fun with Abou last hour because he talked about the Calgary-Edmonton rivalry, and it's not even a rivalry. It's a downright hatred between the people of those cities. And as I said last hour, I'm not going to get on my soapbox here again, but I don't have time. I just don't have time in my heart for that sentiment of hate of anything. You see that. You watch this show every day. I respect what they do, but it's funny. I posted the story from John Cooper to rodpeterson.com, and that immediately got Florida Panthers fans worked up. And they're like, God, I hate that guy. Panthers fans are saying about John Cooper. And they try to say in the state of Florida that they have a rivalry. I'm like, no, you don't. Like with the hockey teams. You don't. It's getting there. It's getting there. This will be season 5 for me covering the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning, but that first, now it's 11:11 Mountain and 1:11 Eastern. Now you can all celebrate and relax. Or observe however you would like. But when they first met in the playoffs 4 springs ago, it wasn't that big of a deal. But now they've met 4 times in the playoffs, and I was in Amalie Arena with my guy Brent from Wellington, Florida, who might be watching right now, and there were fights in the stands. So it's gone from that to this, and I'm not saying you want that, you want the passion, but can we dial back the fights in the stands? Well, you can't when you add in the devil's juice. Which, by the way, rep the show you love. Shop the Rod Pedersen show store today at rodpeterson.com. Just click on store. We got mugs, we've got T-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got hats. Yeah. People have been asking for it. Joe's been working really hard to put it together for quite some time. And as he said, now we just need people to make orders. Go to rodpeterson.com and do it. You know, it's interesting. I will say this. In a way, I feel bad for junior hockey fans. Laverne and Swift Current is the most recent to write me, but there's been quite a few out of Swift Current writing me, particularly this week, interestingly enough. And he sends me something from the team here, and he says, the iPlex parking lot is full in Speedy Creek with 6 rookie teams. Exciting time for all these young kids and hockey players. Oh, it is. I see that the Warriors, what do they call it? Gray and black game is Sunday night. I think the Pats inter-squad game is Monday, but they're just not getting the media coverage that they were. Some guy in Swift Current wrote me the other day, and he's like, oh my, Rod, how come there's no profile? How come we used to be just mention Moose Jaw or Regina, we'd go nuts in Swift Current or vice versa? I said, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Glenn Erickson covers the league for me. I don't know. Junior hockey has its problems. What I know is they're not mine. I'll follow it and enjoy it, but I'm not digging into it. Well, you know, it's funny. John in Winnipeg says, why so much hate in the great province of Alberta? Very unfortunate. Also, not my deal. So, yeah, I just sat there and observed it, and I'm like, there is a lot of aggression here. That's their thing. Oh, okay. Rich in Edmonton says, I have many friends in Calgary, having lived there. Absolutely a rivalry, but hatred only in sports. Okay, good. Then I hope that is the case. Yeah. But it does filter over into everything. That's people, you know, from Overtime Hockey Lanes. Randy from Overtime Hockey Lanes, who I've gotten so close to as one of our sponsors over the years. He's from Edmonton, but he's like, shh, keep it down around here. But that's the sporting side of it. You know, he's an Albertan. Isn't that okay? We're all human beings. That should be enough. How about that? 902-518-3033. And by the way, experience authentic Greek flavors right here in Moose Jaw at the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. Order online, pick up, or dine in. Check out their menu at themadgreekeatery.com. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, only pinball survived the battery toss and the hammer at the old Never Win Stadium. Oh, so you threw batteries at every Argo except pinball. You know what? I could actually see that. Oh, my God. I'll tell some Battle of Alberta hockey stories later on once Jim Barker adjourns, because we got a lot to get to with the coach. When we come back, it's a Football Friday live here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube, and Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Football Friday continues here on the Game Plus Television Network. Welcome on in, everybody. We're having a lot of fun previewing Labor Day weekend in the Canadian Football League. But joining us, we're going to open. Coach Barker, Jim Barker, joins us with an NFL. The news in football is Micah Parsons being dealt from Dallas to Green Bay. We've discussed it. You did lengthily last week here on this program. What's your take on this deal?
Well, anytime you lose the best defensive player in football, it's not a good deal for your team. I'm sorry. It reminds me a little, I go back to the Ricky Ray trade we made, and ultimately they got a lot of players and draft picks and things, but we got a guy who won Grey Cups for us. I believe that Micah Parsons changes a culture. He's that type of player. He does so many things that nobody else can do. He's been in the league 4 years. He's been an All-Pro 4 years. And, Kenny Clark, with all due respect, he's over 30 now. He's on, and you're talking about Micah Parsons is 26 years old. I don't think Jerry Jones lost him necessarily for any reason other than what we talked about last week, which again, nobody else has talked about, the total disrespect he had for the agent and for just the process and doing it correctly. And again, he talked yesterday about how he talks to players all the time. Because you do it all the time, when you meet a player they're not comfortable with that, you have to switch gears. And I just believe it got to a point he was not going to give that agent one more penny than he had offered Micah Parsons in a one-on-one with a 26-year-old that's never negotiated a deal. And I think Micah Parsons said, this is wrong, and I'm not going to be a party to it. And he would have sat out before he would have played for Jerry Jones. So this was deep, I think. I really do. And just having been a GM, having been involved in negotiations, having been involved in trades for the best player in the league or one of the best, that's just what I think happened. And they got to a point where they had to get Kenny Clark, I get his thing about run defense because nobody talks. You got to stop the run. You got to be able to run it when you want to and stop the run. And he says they don't do that well, which they don't. They were 18th in the league or 17th in the league last year. They don't stop the run well. Will Kenny Clark help that? Sure, he'll help that. I mean, he's an interior defensive lineman. But when you have a guy like Micah Parsons who can do so many things, Rashawn Gary, he had 12 sacks last year. It's kind of like what happens with Flo Arimolade in the CFL. Wherever Flo is, those guys have their best years. People around Micah Parsons are going to have years like they've never had before. That's just the kind of player he is. And I believe changes the culture in their locker room. I sat at the airport with Mike Holmgren. You know, his career had just finished, and we were sitting at the airport, and he said to me, Jim, you know, you can have great quarterbacks, you can have all that stuff, but until I got that one guy that completely changed the mentality of everybody in our organization, we couldn't win a Super Bowl, and that was Reggie White. And when he got Reggie White, it completely transformed that entire community, that entire club. That's why LaFleur is happy. I mean, the whole Green Bay organization knows what that that player that has the kind of impact Micah Parsons has will do to a team. So, again, I get Jerry Jones. Now he's got all the draft picks. He could trade for the player and get a good player now. And those draft picks are going to be low because the Packers are going to be good. I'm not the biggest Jordan Love fan in the world, but I just believe their team took another step forward, and they were in the playoffs last year. And again, I think this makes Jordan Love a better quarterback. It really does. And so,
well, here's another way.
Again,
Here's another way to look at it. Yeah, because we can sit here and say who won the trade. That's an obvious question. It's too early to tell. But the fans don't understand this. Somebody wrote in to me because I said, you stand up to Jerry Jones, there's the door. And Micah Parsons got shown the door. And this guy goes, well, how did Micah lose? Maybe Micah won the trade. From his perspective, is he the big winner here?
No question. No question. $47 million. He's in quarterback range now. And what Jerry Jones offered him, which was $40 million, make him the highest pay. This is totally a different ball game than that. So Micah Parsons, plus he doesn't have to play for a man that I believe he lost a lot of respect for. He hasn't said a lot. The whole laying down on the training table, if anything, was a lack of respect for the owner. I just believe that. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how they play against the Eagles next week, how their whole team takes this. Again, I haven't heard from players talking about it. I haven't. So it's going to be interesting to me to watch how they play. But again, I thought I was stunned by it. I didn't think Jerry would trade him. I really didn't.
I was stunned.
He wasn't gonna lose. I mean, he wasn't gonna back down from what he wanted to do, but he would let him sit. I would have thought, and trade him to the Packers, who beat the the poop out of them last year in the playoffs. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, and you say how the Cowboys going to play. They're going against your pick to win the NFC, the Eagles, because you're expecting a Super Bowl rematch. So it's not going to be easy for the Cowboys, whether Micah Parsons was playing or not. Now, of course, the CFL fans have showed up this week to talk CFL ball. Biggest weekend of the year, certainly so far. What do you think is going to be the best game?
The best game? That's a great question. I think the best game could be Calgary and Edmonton. I think that can be, I think those two teams, they both have holes, but they both are solid. Obviously, Calgary's right now, you have to say, because they mollywopped the Riders. I'm sorry, but that was a physical butt kicking, and the Corey Mace's worst nightmare is getting out physical twice by the Stampeders. So that's going to be something they're going to have to address, and they're going to have to figure out how they're going to deal with that down the road with that team. Because to happen once is one thing. I think that Saskatchewan-Winnipeg game's very, very interesting. The Saskatchewan, I think Saskatchewan has to come back physically. We know what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can do, and Willie Jefferson's playing well. Speaking of Willie Jefferson, that's what Micah Parsons is, a game wrecker.
Yes.
He's a game wrecker, just like Willie Jefferson. In his prime was maybe much more, but he still can be a game wrecker. When he's playing at a high level, he can completely change a game himself. Trevor Harris is going to know where he's at. He's going to be in the B gap, one side or the other, where on this, trying to bat balls down, which is basically one of the key things he does to an offense in terms of messing with their scheme. So big challenge for Mark Mueller in attacking him. So that's a fascinating game. That Saskatchewan-Winnipeg game is a fascinating game. It really is. But the Edmonton-Calgary game, I think you got two teams that are, Edmonton so wants to be where Calgary is, and Calgary just flew by them. Because if you remember last year, they were both a bottom of the barrel. Neither one made the playoffs, both bottom of the barrel. So they got flown by Calgary, and they've been taking a slower path, and now they figured out Cody is the right guy, and that's going to go a long way for them in terms of of turning their season around. So that I think is going to be the best game. I think the Hamilton-Toronto game I think it's a must-win for Toronto to stay involved, to stay even in the conversation. Because if they win that game, the whole Eastern Division is a schmozzle. I mean, you're going to have Toronto in first place with 6 wins, Montreal playing not very well with 5 wins. You're going to have Ottawa with 3 wins. You have Toronto with 4 wins. So it'll throw it into a absolute going in, rush for the Grey Cup. So the script writers, the people that want this thing will say Hamilton's going to win. That's that puts everybody in the East Division in the hunt.
Well,
but again, it's going to be a great Hamilton coming off a bye and at home on Labor Day. That's a tough one.
Well, I know how much you love this CFL, and the one stat out of all the stats I read in the game notes, Bo Levi is 7-0 on Labor Day weekend, and I'm like, okay, done, they'll win. If you go by that, that's a pretty good stat. But for all of our Hamilton, Toronto viewers, which we have a ton, there's a case to be made that is the game of the weekend. Argo fans have had their team written off for a month. I'm like, do you not know this is the CFL? In 1999, Jim, we went 3-15, and we went all the way to week 18 before we were eliminated. Like, my God, if you're writing off your team in August, you haven't been a fan very long in this league.
Yeah, no, that's true. And they're getting play. Mackay Polk comes back, who was an all-pro receiver as a rookie for Toronto. He now gets released by Atlanta. He's going to be back in their lineup. They have a few players that are out there. Villain, who's a pass rusher. There's about 4 guys that could come up to help Toronto incredibly. Toronto's the one team that can really improve with NFL cuts. Hamilton, again, what's their defense going to be? Their offense, I agree with you. I think Bo Levi is going to play at a high level. This is his kind of a game. The Labor Day game, it's going to be sold out. I'm going to go as a fan, and getting a ticket, even with all the people I knew, was not easy. It was difficult. So this will be a legitimate sellout.
I like to hear that. It's amazing how bad Hamilton looked in Sask, like bad. And then Sask goes to Calgary and gets their ass kicked. Like there's a lot of contenders here right now. Kirk in Toronto would like your opinion on the Argonauts signing Heisman runner-up quarterback Max Duggan. And to quote him, Mr. Barker, could Chad Kelly's injury have some bearing on this?
That's an interesting question about Chad Kelly, because he's practicing and running around now and may even come back. Who knows? He may come back. I don't think so, but you never know. He could come back. Max Duggan, you know who he's like? He's Cody Fajardo. That's who he's like. He all he does is win. It's not pretty. You don't have to love the way he throws. He's going to be, he was a 50% passer in college. It's not pretty, but he wins. I liken him to Cody. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does with this kind of field and where timing is everything and those kind of things. So he's an interesting prospect. It's with Chad coming back, or maybe that's a sign that he's not coming back. But I think he's been on that neg list for a long time. So you really don't, when you have a guy like that on your neg list, he comes free, wants to come up, you pretty much have to take him. So I doubt the Chad Kelly thing has much of an impact on that.
You're normally very plugged in to everything. I noticed at Grey Cup, you had all the scoops coming before they even happened, like the BC Lions firing everybody and Vernon Adams being traded. You knew. So what do you think is going to happen with Taylor Elgersma? Any take on that?
I think he's going to most likely he may not play at all this year. Again, I don't know that he'll come up to Canada this year. That's a tough one. Again, Sean Clifford and he both got cut, and they brought in Toon from Arizona, so they brought a complete different guy in. The Packers did. Clifford got signed somewhere on a PR. Taylor worked out for the Giants, and what he's got to do is wait. And when there's an injury, he's a young guy that people have on their radar, but they're looking at him as a kid who's played Canadian football, and it's a tough transition going from Canada to the NFL, from U Sports to the NFL. Again, I could see him back in the NFL. I mean, back in the CFL, or not back, but for the first time, potentially in about a month, potentially. If his agent, Fred Weinreich, who does a great job, if he's getting some nibbles from people, he'll wait for an injury to happen in the NFL and try to get him on a practice roster there. I mean, that salary's over $100,000. So, but if not, he'll come down maybe and learn a little bit from Zach Collaros. We don't know how much longer Zach's going to play. Winnipeg drafted him. And Streveler's their backup, who would be a great backup to a guy like Taylor Elgersma if he was to come in and start. So there's potential that he could end up in Winnipeg. I would say if he's going to come up, it'll be in the next month. But again, it's still a long shot because they're trying to, like Nikola Kalinic got cut. Mm-hmm. And then he got re-signed by the Bears. So good on him. And that's what players wait, because the practice roster takes about 3 games for it to get settled.
John in Edmonton would like to know if you see Shadur or Shiloh Sanders coming to the CFL.
I see Shiloh coming. He got cut early in Tampa Bay, not early, but got cut in Tampa Bay. and did not get picked up anywhere. People have looked at him there. If he wants to continue to play, then there's a good chance he'll come up. And Toronto's, they seem to take guys like that often. So, I could see Shiloh. Shador, unless something goes drastically bad for him, I don't see him coming to Canada. But again, there's a lot of things going on. Stefanski will be one of the guys on the getting fired list, that always starts at this time of the year. They haven't even played a game and they have a get fired list, and he's on it. How he handles that whole quarterback thing. I mean, what they're doing in Cleveland is very similar to what we did in Toronto. We had Ricky Ray, and then we had Zach Collaros and Trevor Harris were 2 and 3. And they have Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders 2 and 3. And they were kind of interchangeable for us. The way Scott did it was if we were ahead, then he would put Trevor in. If we were behind, he would put Zach in. So depending on the game situation and that type of thing, that's how we handled it. So they've done that now. They've got Joe Flacco, who is, because they got rid of Pickett also, but they got Joe Flacco that is an old veteran who is steady, good guy for these guys to learn from. He's a pro.
They're cutting us off. We're out of time. Okay, Jim, thanks for this. Thanks for fitting us in. Enjoy the football. You betcha. The coach, Jim Barker, joining us from the GTA. We'll be right back, everybody, with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. Back in a moment here on Game Plus TV.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Exciting things happening here at the RP Show. As you know, September the 29th, we go to daily television in Las Vegas, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, Fox 5 Las Vegas. Thank you, producer Corey, for bringing that together, and Game Plus Television for giving it its blessing. That's where we're starting and moving on through there. And again, that's September 29th, not too far from now. Next Thursday is our NFL kickoff party for the RP Show. It's at Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina. First come, first serve. Watch the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll have prizing from our friends at Ultimate Fan Zone and Moose Jaw. Sponsors will be there, VIPs, and just bringing fans together. That's what we do. I will tell you that the text line's open. It's a little light today. So if you'd like to get your questions answered, now's the time to do it. 902-518-3033. Or to get your comments read. Maybe you don't have a question for me, but you would like the world to know what you're thinking. 902-518-3033. Brought to you by Western Dodge. From trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them in Moose Jaw or online at westerndodge.ca. Sports update for Seat Giant. The Toronto Blue Jays are in action tonight against the MLB leading Milwaukee Brewers. Toronto is coming off a series win over Minnesota and leads the American League East by 3.5 games over Boston. Shane Bieber gets the start for the Jays, while Freddie Peralta will be on the mound for the Brewers. I'll pause this for a second. I was thinking I'd like to watch that game. I might have to listen to that game because I was like, what do I have going on the Friday night of Labor Day weekend? Oh, right. I'm hosting the draft tonight at Aspen Links Clubhouse and Rec Room for the third annual Labor Day Golf Classic, featuring Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. The draft is tonight. The event is tomorrow. I'll be hosting the supper. We'll be doing a hot stove. That's Saturday. So it is a rather busy weekend. But as I've realized now that this is not my full-time home anymore, and you get out and you kind of look around and go, that's one of the things that makes Labor Day weekend so special is events like this. Why it's special here is this golf tournament and the hot stove that we do, because I don't see the other markets doing it across the Canadian Football League. It's just one of the things that makes this place so special. For our U.S. viewers, this is the Alabama of Canadian football. There ain't no doubt about that. To the NFL, trading Micah Parsons is a bold move. Only a general manager who happens to own the team can make. Micah Parsons is a generational player, an elite talent in his prime. Quarterbacks fear facing the two-time All-Pro pass rusher. Offensive coordinators have sleepless nights thinking about ways to game plan against him. Parsons has been wreaking havoc in backfield since his rookie season back in 2021. Any team would love to have a game record like him on their side, yet the Dallas Cowboys were willing to send Parsons to the Green Bay Packers in a blockbuster trade Thursday following a lengthy, messy contract dispute, which quite frankly came down to one thing. Only 2 minutes already? Man, it's going fast. I'm going to have to carry this over into the next segment. And I guess this will be a theme throughout this NFL season on this show, because you all know that I'm a Cowboys fan, but I don't like the way Jerry Jones does business. And he said one disrespectful thing about Micah Parsons' agent on the Michael Irvin podcast, and that was the end of it. Do you think words don't matter? They matter a lot. And that ends the time of Micah Parsons in Dallas. This is not the Dallas Cowboys show, nor do I want it to be. But you just got rid of one of the greatest defensive players in the NFL, one of the greatest Cowboys defensive players, and they've had a lot over ego. And you wonder why the Cowboys struggle year after year. Nebraska hopes its problem with finishing close games is over. The Cornhuskers came into the season having lost 35 of 45 one-score games, and the tens of thousands of fans who filled Arrowhead Stadium last night must have had that familiar "here we go again" feeling as Cincinnati drove the field in the final minutes, but crisis was averted when Malcolm Hartzog Jr. intercepted Brandon Sorsby's pass to the end zone to secure a 20-17 victory for the Cornhuskers. Did you watch it on TSN last night? It was so darn much fun. College football is here. But who's kidding? Who? All that matters is Texas OSU on Saturday. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. The sports updates brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Use the promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. Let's load them up. I haven't even looked at the comments yet because I've been talking to you. But we'll do that when we come back for overtime right after this here on Game Plus Television and YouTube Live, Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Here we go for overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Think about our live shows. For those that are watching the streaming feed, you saw the commercial there for Western Dodge. We'll be doing one more show from Western Dodge next week. We're hoping to have a sports celebrity come join us from Western Dodge. That'll be it. What a great summer. We did the live show from Overtime Hockey Lanes, and Theron Fleury came and joined us for that. We had a live audience in Calgary, which is a lot of fun. It reminded me of our days from doing the show from the Calgary casinos. And it was great. I'll say one more time for this week. For a limited time, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary is offering buy one, get one on their memberships, $99 for monthly, $9.99 yearly. It's not as much fun to go on your own. BOGO, buy one, get one. That's the way to do it at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players. That's what I say. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. And zipped back home after that, then whipped back out to Calgary for Theron Fleury's golf tournament last week? 2 weeks ago now, I guess. Time's flying. And it's funny because my advisor in Florida, Lisa, she was asking me about Theron's golf tournament. She doesn't know anything about him from Florida. And she goes, you drove 8 hours, did your show, hosted a golf tournament, then drove back. You weren't even there for 24 hours? Why would you do that? Because it's Theron. Look him up, Lisa. And she goes, oh, that's beautiful. It is. And Theron showed up for our show at Overtime Hockey Lanes. That's what got me thinking about it. There's just certain people in your life that you would do anything for. And Theo's that for me. From the Western Dodge text line, from trucks to SUVs, Western Dodge has what you're looking for. Visit them in Moose Jaw or online at westerndodge.ca. Laverne writes in and says, do we know if a Joe is playing on Sunday? I don't know. He says, it looks like Micah Parsons will be wearing number 11 for the Packers. Everybody have a safe Labor Day weekend and go green and white. I'll be cheering. Thanks, RP, for all. Thank you, Laverne. And that reminds me, there was a Labor Day Classic. I don't remember the year. I was broadcasting, and I remember going to the game. It was in the new place, I think. I mean, they're right across the street, the old place and the new place. I think it was the new place. And then I'm not casting any dispersions here, but there was a Bomber fan on the boulevard, had more than a little too much of the devil's juice. And he was getting cuffed and stuffed and thrown in the back of a cop car. This is an hour before the game. Shirtless. I'm like, oh boy, he's not even going to get to the game. And that's what he came here for. How did you know he was a Bomber fan? Because he had a big W painted on his chest. So be safe. Don't be that guy. Go and have fun. And we will be seeing you if you're coming to Sask. We'll be out and about with our various events. The Hot Stove or the Bombers and Riders alumni. And again, that's what makes this such a special place when it comes to football. And I didn't realize it. So many people over the decades said to me how much they loved Saskatchewan. Football guys saying how much they loved Saskatchewan because that reminded them of home, Alabama, Mississippi. I didn't even know what that meant till I got to Alabama and Mississippi and Arkansas. I'm like, oh, it is just like those places. And what it is there's nothing else but the football team. And if that offends people, sorry, it's true. It's the biggest thing. And this is the biggest weekend of it. So be sure to enjoy it. Now that's here. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, nothing beats Labor Day games in the CFL. Go Scullers. Kirk, you didn't tell me, are you going down to the Hammer for the game? I don't feel like you are. You can be forgiven if you're just going to watch it on television. BW in Edmonton writes in. He says, I really enjoyed the shows from the casinos in Calgary. Good memories. I really enjoyed them too. Well, you're from Edmonton and you loved them. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, better do a final taco time run. Thought about it the other day, Brent. Thought about it hard. But I ended up opting for Edo, Japan. Before, Brent, you and I even knew each other, we were sponsored by Taco Time in Edo, Japan, and those were good days. That was coincidentally when we were also in Calgary. Oh, my God. Moose and I, because Moose was with me at those Calgary casino shows, which we were there for all told over a year. The Edmonton viewers, and everywhere else, I thank you for putting up with us because those were such Calgary-centric shows. And I've spoken to people since, like at Century Downs, since we left. They're like, oh, we didn't realize how big of a deal the show was. You had Ryan Huska down here, the head coach of the Flame. Yeah, we did. And Kelly Rudy and Ryan Thelwell and we had them all. Canada West football. Cameron was asking me about it. Do you see who won last night? UBC. 21-9 over Manitoba. The boys and the Horns are at Calgary tonight. And Sask at Alberta. There's a couple of alum here that brought it up to me yesterday. And I'm like, I didn't have it prepared, ready for my notes. Rich in Edmonton says RP needs a little more E-Town in his life. Well, let's not forget us broadcasting live from the World Juniors in that August tournament. Oh, my God, was that fun. In the coldest rink known to man. Felt like we were broadcasting from the Arctic Circle. And as you know, BW, from the pirate ship at West Edmonton Mall. Moose lined that up. Yeah, Brent, I love that he's tuned in from Wellington, Florida. Brent and I just got to meet each other since I got to Florida, and before that was even a thing, we had some unbelievable shows. And you Winnipeggers, don't forget, we broadcast right from the Canada Life Center from the National Lacrosse Championships, and then we had our meet and greet at Hooters. Yeah, it's been big. Big fun, big fun. Be safe, everybody, and we will be seeing you Tuesday. After all these Labor Day games and college games are complete, to break it all down here, right here. So again, be safe. Thank you, producer Corey. You be safe too. Thanks to Mike Abou-Mechrek, Jim Barker. We'll see you Tuesday here on the RP Show.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?